So in this session, we will learn about Azure Databox, right? So what is Azure Databox? As the name indicates, it is just a box to carry a data, right? So consider, for example, you have an on-prem server. So this is my on-prem server. Let it be a NAS server or SAN server. So whatever storage you have. And in this, you have at least around 500 TB of data. And an organization is deciding, like, I don't want to keep my data on-prem because it's of getting heavy cost. So I want to transfer this data into cloud, right? And what is the option for that is, like, you have multiple options and multiple cloud to determine. Like if you go with AWS, there is certain options with that. If you go with GCP, there is certain options with that. And if you go to Azure, there are certain options with that. So when you choose Azure, you have an option called as Azure Databox, right? So this Azure Databox is nothing but you just need to request to Azure to send you a box to copy the data from on-prem to Azure. And what happens is, like, there are two types of options available. One is an import option, another one is an export option. These two is by default available for Databox, right? An import option is nothing but you want to import from on-prem to cloud. An export option is nothing but from cloud to on-prem or cloud to another cloud, right? So these two are the options available. So what happens generally is, like, you have to log into an Azure portal, and then you have to choose a data box, and then you have to give certain details like subscription, what is your resource group, from which region you wanted to copy, from which region you wanted to paste it, and other things. So once the request goes to Microsoft, Microsoft will actually send you a suitcase like this, right? Consider this data box is nothing but a suitcase, okay? A suitcase with a lot of plugs and wires and everything. So this, they will plug it to your on-prem, and they will copy this 500 TB into this particular suitcase. Then what they happen, Microsoft will carry this suitcase, and then they will go to your data center directly, and then they will plug this suitcase into the particular storage account in Azure, and then they will copy this data. So the duration of this, which Microsoft is saying, is 1 week max. So within 1 week, the data will be copied from your on-prem to Azure cloud. This is the strategy which they are talking about. And coming to the cost, what exactly is, like, the transport cost? The data box is free, basically, right? So there is no cost for the data box, and there are different types of data boxes available. I'll show you what are all the things, because not everything can be copied with 500 TB. There are, like, more than petabytes and hexabytes and other things which is available. So there are different boxes, right? Basically, the suitcase, which is nothing but your data box, is free, right? There will be a transportation charges and there will be a data transfer charges, right? So that is the only thing which we have to pay. And then I think that is also minimal, right? So depending upon your region and depending upon the availability, the cost might vary. Let me quickly show you what are all the different data boxes available. What is an import workflow? What is an export workflow? And how can you request it in Azure, right? So this is my data box, right? And this is what the architecture which I explained it to you, right? The different types of data boxes available is the default data box, which is a capacity of 100 TB, and it uses AES 256 encryption algorithms for a safer transit, right? The next one is data box disk. This is a small one which can carry up to 8 TB, right? If your size is less for a small scale company, you can order a data box disk, right? If you are a very big enterprises, then you can order a data box heavy, which can carry up to 1 petabyte of data, right? And this is a data box gateway, which helps you to transfer the data in a safe and secured way, right? Now, the different options, such as import and export options, I'll show you the workflow, right? So this is your import workflow. If you see here, the customer is trying to prepare the hard disk for an import action option. So once happens, then they will request it, and the request will go to Microsoft, and then the shipping happens for the data boxes. Once the shipping happens, it automatically copies the data from your data box into your Azure storage account. The transferring will happen. Once after that, the packagings will happen, and then it will return back to the customer. So this is the import workflow. Export is also kind of same. So you are just trying to create it, and then what happens is like the shipping will happen and the data will be transferred from the storage account to your data box, and then the packaging will happen, and then it will send to the customer, right? So this is an import and export workflow. So now, how can you order this data box? So what I'm going to do is like, this is my Azure. On Azure, I'm just trying to type data box, and then you'll be able to see this Azure data box, right? Click on create Azure data box, and then you have to give certain details. Let's give a moment because it's loading. Okay, so you will get this screen, get started with data box. So what you have to do is like, you have to choose a transfer type, whether you want to import or you want to export. So in this case, I want to import. So choose a subscription from where you wanted to import and where you wanted to put it. So from East US, from UAE, I want to put it on the destination region of East US. Okay. So this is where I'm trying to do it. And once if I click on apply, the request will go to Microsoft, and the request will look like this, right? So once after you click on that, you will see a request like this, where you can see a subscription name, subscription ID, resource group name, and the status of your order, like whether you clicked on it and the device tracking is processed and it's delivered, it's received, and the data copy is happening, right? Once after this is done, then automatically your data will try to get copied, right? And this is your data box inside dashboard, right? So this is your Azure dashboard, but once after the data comes in, this is your data box dashboard. So you can see what is a network cards that's connected, what is a connect and copy, and what is your IP address, and how much amount of free space in the data box, how much amount of used space in the data box, whether you can lock the device, whether you can connect and copy. All these things can be done within the data box, right? So I hope you would have got an idea of how a data box looks like, what is data box, why it is used, and how can you request it. Right? If you have any doubts, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you guys across. Right? Thank you.